my will invite me, so definitely wanted to show y'all a speech that pretty much I had kind of had a daydream session in class. You know how you have to be fading off in between the teacher talking.
Yeah.
You trying to write down your assignment. So I was kind of daydreaming and started daydreaming just on some of our black leaders, past and present, and just kind of would they have a conversation that they were talking about us. Imagine being in the house of greatness, surrounded by giants of black glory, both African American men and African American women standing with you. As you decide to break bread with one another, you take a seat at the feast of black heritage, partaking in this food that we refer to as soul food. See, we have this conversation of accomplishments among the table, talking about what one has done and contributed to our feats and yet our accomplishments in America. And I listen in on this conversation as I sit there thinking, what would I ask, or what should I say, or should I even speak at all? Listen to the proud conversation and accomplishments of one another. On your right you have Madam C.J. Walker. She begins to tell you about Mary McLeod Bethune and how she was a great leader of educators. She rented a little two-story building in Daytona Beach and began the difficult task of educating and establishing a young school for African American women. See, finding the resources to fund the school, they eventually merged with Cookman College and founded one of today's proudest HBCUs, Bethune-Cookman College. Mary McLeod Bethune thanks Madam C.J. Walker, but not only for her accomplishments before the straightening comb. See, she begins to thank her for her contribution to the hair care industry that she has made. Mary knew that Madam C.J. Walker was rich not only in ideas, but also rich in money. She became the first African-American millionaire in this country. See, further down the table, we see a distant figure who sits so proudly and yet so humbly at the table. Right next to Mary, we see Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King turns to Booker T. Washington and admirably values Booker T. for having such a strong belief that education would bring equality for his people. So much that in 1881 he founded the Tuskegee Normal and Industrial Institute. He also helped to establish the National Negro Business League. And we asked him, and then he was asked to be proudly in the McKinley cabinet of the president, but yet he declined, I wish to get in a political arena. And did all this for a man who was born into slavery. Booker T. Washington thanks Dr. King, but yet he begins to talk about a man by the name of Charles Drew, Dr. Drew that is, and congratulates him on being able to receive the first doctorate degree of medicine from Columbia University. He smiles and wonders how was he able to successfully save a man's life by giving him a blood transfusion when no one else had ever did it before. See, he said, you not only saved one life, but the future life of millions and others with this invention to come. Charles Drew thanks Booker T, but begins to compliment Dr. King on the success of uniting a nation separated by Jim Crow laws of the South. Amazed at his valiant effort with the Buzzcocks established at his perseverance to suffer insults, bombings, beatings, and threats. He hears his I Have a Dream speech that he had fought so hard for not only a culture, but a people. How could we not observe the aroma of his quotes and the nobleness of his character, not to encourage to want to seek a life of peace in America? As the conversation continues, they talk among themselves about all of these great things that not only they had done, but around the table they spoke of W.E.B. Du Bois, who also talked about Malcolm X, and Malcolm X about Billie Holiday, and Billie Holiday about Rosa Parks. After finishing this dinner, they gladly rested back and stared towards my end of the table and asked me, brother, what have you accomplished? I paused, not really knowing what to say. I didn't think I should say anything at all. My measure of success would seem so minute in the sight of these great men and great women. Speechless, I fell to tears. And before I could utter a word, I tried to meditate on what I had done. I reflected back on my life, my goals, and where I had come from, but I could not think of one single impacting thing that I had did for my people. I turned and said, I don't know what to tell you. In reply, they stared in amazement, not just at me, but as to say, what generation have you come from? Where is the foundation of your principles of success? Where is your strength and determination? What mark, if any, will you leave so that others will build upon those, not resting on the past success as if to be content, but using our successes as to fuel your future people? It is with that I tell you tonight that we should examine our lives as we sit at the table of heritage and say, what have I done to contribute to my people? Thank you all.